Hi, I'm Emily,
And I'm Julia.
and this is the Bad Bitch Podcast.
Well, it is just the two of us again this week after the wonderful, how amazing was Naomi last
Oh
week?
my God, I could have just kept that conversation going, and it was so inspiring, and I really, really think she should write a book.
100%, she really should. And I'm just like trying to mental note all of these like little tidbits and glorious bits of advice that she was saying. Honestly, it was just so illuminating.
My big takeaway was that the 3 C's, but that point about consistency, like finding a little daily practice you should do every day. And if you don't know what we're talking about, listen to last week's episode.
For sure.
Amazing. All with Naomi, a brilliant breathwork practitioner, but who also has just an absolutely phenomenal personal growth story.
She really does. And it was really interesting as well to think in terms of the versions of ourselves that we have been and how we can move forward from that. So yeah, do check it out if you feel so inclined.
Oh, please do. Can I do the sponsor?
You can. Do you want to talk about our weird tan lines we were just talking about?
Oh my God. Well, so the heat wave, are we on the 4th heat wave now in the UK?
Yeah, at least the 3rd or 4th.
The great weather conditions. I love it. I just don't really overheat. The dog doesn't love it. She's passed out in a bed over there. But as a result, we've both got a little bit of a tan. I don't really tan, but all this dog walking. But then for some reason our legs don't tan. I think because I'm always out in leggings.
To be fair, me too.
So we have the whitest legs at the moment, and we have arms. What's that game you play as kids where you mix up the head and the body and the torso and the legs? And it's kind of like you create a different look for the person. So you can have a guy who's like got a suit jacket and then swim shorts.
It used to be like paper dolls, isn't it? And they used to put the paper outfits on them.
Yes, but there's a different one where you have cards.
Myself from the 1800s. Child of the 1800s, right?
Exactly. Bit of time travel. No, there was this, I think it was cards where you could pick different parts of the body, but you'd make someone look like they didn't go together. And I was saying that my arms look like they belong to a different person to my legs right now.
I know.
Because this top half looks like it's kind of been on holiday, and the bottom half is like deep as winter white.
I know. I am actually, because I thought I was the only person, so I'm really pleased that you are the same.
No, I'm actually worse. It's actually worse. I didn't think I tanned, but I think the freckles have just joined up.
Oh no, I've been bad because I've been running and I just felt I haven't put some.
How's the running training going?
It's going well. It's going really well. I'm actually there's been a few runs I've actually enjoyed.
Oh, this is new.
It is.
This is great.
So that is really good.
So by the time you get to your marathon,
yes,
then maybe you'll enjoy running.
Yes, exactly that.
That'd be a great
Maybe
outcome.
It's like that thing, because I started running because I was like, if I can make myself like running, then I can pretty much teach myself to do anything.
Yes. Oh my God,
So,
what a great mindset exercise right there.
So yes.
What a winning challenge.
Yes.
So,
and if you want a rest from challenges.
Oh, segue.
Yeah.
Go and see Lisa and Sophie at Zara Therapies. I actually went last week and I had the face scan. Have you had that done yet?
No, I really want to go.
Oh my goodness, it's so great. So our repeated sponsors, Zara Therapies in Bennington, they do the most wonderful facials, fantastic massage. They use Environ skincare, and they've got this new fantastic gadget. And I love a gadget. Well, it's much more sophisticated than a gadget. It's this whole thing you have to put your head into. Like when you go to the optician and you get your eyes tested, and they put you in, and they show you the balloon.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
And then they do the puff of air into your eye.
There's the funniest thing, because there's the funniest thing on social media at the moment, and it's like a cartoon drawing of like when you go to the opticians, and it's like there's going to be a small puff of air, and the puff of air happens, and it explodes the person backwards out of the window and like down the high street, and there's like a person-shaped like hole. It is like that.
No, but and then they say like it's going to be small, don't worry. And there's just something about your brain immediately reacts like it's like you just got shot in the face kind of thing.
Yes.
Anyway, the nice thing,
it's like, because they say it's like it's just a small puff of air. And to be fair, and again, it's like how people are different, because I'm like not particularly bothered by it. But it reminds me a lot of with the NH, and obviously, like, you don't enjoy it.
It makes me jump.
Like a lot of people on the internet apparently with the reel on Instagram. But it's like when you go to the NHS and they're like mild discomfort. Mild discomfort, I have learned, is key for you. It's going to hurt like hell, and it's going to be the worst. But I guess they can't frame it of this is going to be the most painful thing.
So I once had to have a procedure and the doctor said, "Look, don't worry, it's not that painful." And I said, "Oh, I've had it done before." And then he went, "Oh, okay." As in, "Oh, okay, so you know it's really painful."
Yeah.
I think they're trained to they don't want you to tense up.
Exactly.
Anyway,
well,
well,
sorry, back to
no,
lovely
but the
Lisa.
opposite of this, because
Yes.
at least as you put your face in this thing that's like going to the optician, but there's no horrible puff of air. In fact, it's very nice. You just put your face in this kind of dark container. And then they take all these amazing different... Why are you laughing about that? Well,
The horror comes much later when you see your skin.
well, yes. So they take all these different images of your skin with different lights. And so you kind of go in there feeling like you look quite good. And then you see all these pictures that show you the sun damage, where all the lines are, where you're dehydrated, where your skin's a bit angry. But I find things like that fascinating, actually.
For sure.
And it's really useful, because what it lets them do is completely tailor the skincare, because Environs is a huge range with all different levels of different products, and they can then really tailor it according to what your skin actually needs. Instead of sometimes when you go to a therapist where it's very cookie cutter, they kind of give everyone the same anti-aging facial, the same routine. So I was worried, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was worried I was going to have an image of, it would look like me at 80. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like on the or AI, where you can AI what you'll look like in 50 years' time. But actually, my skin's actually in surprisingly good shape. So that was nice to hear. But also, it did kind of give me that kind of nudge and reminder that I also need to take care of it. And, you know, one of the things that I took away from it, because I'm religious about SPF, but you can see this band in the very beginning of my hair where I've got more sun damage, because we don't put our sun cream and our makeup right into our hairline.
Wow.
So it actually shows you that kind of SPF does work.
Yes.
But it's really shocking to see.
It will show you the bits you've missed.
The bits I've missed, yeah.
Wow.
So highly recommend a sponsor. Go and find out exactly what your skincare needs are, but they're also the most lovely people. They take care of you. It's such a nurturing experience. So highly recommended Zara Therapies in Benenden.
Oh, I love that. I'm trying to think of a segue into pop culture, but because I thought we'd have a little talk about what TV shows are coming up, because we've got some cool big ones coming, but none of them are very calming.
Oh,
so you've got but they're very good.
Oh, tell me what's happening.
So you have Lioness.
Is this a second series?
Third series.
Yes,
have you not watched season 2?
I think I've only seen the first season, but I loved it.
Season 2 will have you like on the seat of the edge of your seat. I was like,
seat of your pants. I think either of those work.
But yeah, season 2 is brilliant. So season 3 is came on the 2nd of August. My brain is just like...
You're like, when is this episode? You're doing the maths. When is this episode coming out? And where are we? This is what you have to think about when you record podcasts.
But
coming soon.
It's coming soon to an Amazon TV channel near you.
For people who first of all, should we just explain what Lioness is for people who haven't seen it?
Yes, absolutely. So Lioness is a TV show written by Taylor Sheridan. You will know him you may not know him, but you'll know his other TV shows, because you have Yellowstone and the whole universe around that. He has Sons of Anarchy. He wrote that. He just seems to write these amazing TV shows, but he wheels them out like on a really quick basis as well.
He's obviously got that touch, doesn't he? Everything he writes kind of turns to gold, which is amazing.
Yes, so it's amazing. And then Lioness focuses on the operations of the CIA in America, and how they put together a special unit centering around a female operator, and like sending her into like certain like dangerous situations. High tension, really interesting. Some really, you've got Nicole Kidman, Zoe Saldana, the amazing lady who plays the Lioness, but you've got really, really amazing, strong female leads in it.
And the character development's really great.
Exactly that. Especially I've really enjoyed, like, if you haven't seen season 2 yet, from season 1 to season 2, it was really interesting to see how Zoe Saldana's character has developed. And it will be really interesting to see how they take it going forward into season 3. But it is just a really, really great TV show.
Can I just say also on that, one of the things I'm often talking to my female clients about is it can be very helpful to build their confidence to watch TV shows with very strong women in it.
Yes, for sure.
Because your brain will channel the role models that you see. And if we're watching lots of content where women are taking a backseat or aren't that strong, our brain's taking that messaging in, and clients find that really helpful. And Lioness, I think, is a good example of watching very strong women. I mean, they're completely badass. They're also slightly crazy.
Yeah.
But it is really nice to watch a TV show where all the women are such incredibly strong characters.
Yes, exactly that. And we'll talk about the next TV show, but then it does feed in nicely to what you've just said. So on the August the 14th, you have a new series of Jack Reacher coming out.
Oh my God, Jack Reacher is back.
Jack Reacher is back. So
Wow.
yes, very excited for that.
Is that like your highlight of the year?
I mean, I can neither confirm or deny.
You love Jack Reacher.
Yes.
You love it.
Honestly, mainly because he does. I'm trying to think whether he does remind me a lot of my boyfriend.
Yes.
The way he interacts with the world.
Wait, but didn't the actor who plays Jack Reacher get into an altercation with an idiot to do with a motorbike? How would I know this? But he actually,
In real life?
the real actor,
Interesting.
he got into an incident with someone who was getting in his face and kind of caused him trouble. And they did that classic thing where they try to out him on social media, but he had his body cam footage that showed that actually he was in the right. Because you kind of wonder when people play such hard characters, you do wonder, what are they like? Are they just like a complete pussycat in real life, or what are they actually like? But I think he's quite a badass in real life as well.
Because Alan Richardson started off in American Idol. If you look at him on American, he was on American Idol.
He was singing.
He was singing because this is. I know this.
Can we go back and watch that?
Yes, you can. You can see it. You can see how. Let me just say it kindly. You can see what his stature looks like before he's been glowed up to Jack Reacher.
Right. I mean, I love the fact that you'd call that a glow up.
I mean, are muscles ever not a glow up?
Glow up. Brilliant.
But it was really interesting because he does still sing on social media, but I like him very much as Jack Reacher. So it's like he starts to sing a song and I'm like, nope, next reel.
Yeah, you're not the version that I want to see. No. But it's really great, entertaining, easy to watch.
100%. It is, and it's just so good, and it's exciting, and it's interesting, and the way he interacts, and there's usually like some kind of like moral dilemma, which is brilliant. It's just a really lovely TV show.
I don't think anyone's used the word lovely before, but I agree with you. Jack Reacher, 5 stars. Lovely show. That's the most British review of a violent American TV show that I've ever heard of. It's just lovely. It's so lovely.
You are speaking to the person who enjoys like one of their favourite films is 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi.
Yes.
Although I have to say to like my boyfriend sometimes it's like we need to turn this off because I am growing a penis and you're about to enlist. It's that much explosions.
That's like when I watched $1 Million Baby and then I immediately want to be a boxer.
Yes.
I just think there's a place for every kind of genre, but there is something about the diet we feed our brains.
Yes.
That if all you're watching is kind of badasses going around killing bad guys, it does kind of appeal in a certain way, right? And then you kind of think that you're going to be that person. I do think, your James could be a good Batman, if you know what I mean.
100%. He'll take that as a big compliment. But you're so right as well, because I used to know if I was watching those kinds of like operator TV shows, like someone would ask me a question at work and I would be like, have you established comms? And I'm like...
That's like a 24 thing, isn't it? Yes.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Why am I talking like
exactly.
This? No, but our brain is taking in the diet of what we're
100%.
What we're watching. Maybe we need to even it out. The other day I watched Breakfast at Tiffany's again. I just wanted a nice easy watch. Maybe we need to just balance it out with a bit of like light romantic comedy.
Well, Jack Reacher's a lovely TV show.
Lovely show. So are there any other lovely shows coming
There is, because going back to the badass women, so you remember obviously part of the 1/10 of Jack Reacher's previous unit. I don't know why I always struggle with what they are in their units, like squadrons. I'm always a bit confused. So part of his unit, he has obviously the awesome Neagley, who always comes in and saves his ass in some way, shape or form. She has her own TV show, and that's coming out in September.
So they've done a spin-off.
Yes. So that will be really, really good.
Yeah. Well, you say really good. It's interesting because spin-offs, it can be really mixed, can't it? Whether they work or not. But it's great that they're trying that.
Definitely. And I think someone that has obviously done the spin-offs, it's kind of like what you'd call world building, but spin-offs also is, and going back to him, is someone who's done it very well is Taylor Sheridan with his 1883, 1923, so the law before Yellowstone. Then he's got obviously Dutton Ranch. Linus is very tense because I said to James, I was like, I feel like enough time has gone by that people should have seen Yellowstone, and if you're invested, you should kind of know what happens.
Yes.
But I said I like in the last few episodes, I always feel like with like Lioness, bearing in mind what main character got written out of Yellowstone, I feel like when you watch Lioness, it's like you're on the edge of your seat because like no one is safe apart from Tara Sheridan, who's doing a cameo.
Oh, interesting. But yeah, I suppose that's that thing that when you know the writer or the runner of a show, if they've got their trademark moves, like the last minute kind of twist or death of a major character, I quite like to go into shows not thinking about that and then think about that afterwards. So you're not kind of trying to work out what's about to happen. I used to go out with someone years ago who, during watching movies, would predict what was about to happen out loud.
Yes.
I mean, have you experienced this? I find this an unbelievably annoying trait.
This really happened really because obviously there'll be those times when they get it right, but this happened to like obviously you know Jade, lovely Jade is an avid reader, and one of our colleagues said to her, she was reading a book, and one of our colleagues just made a flippant, he went, he dies at the end.
No.
And Jade got to the end of the book and she was like, he died at the end, because it was true, but he ruined it for her because you make it. But
I want to be in the moment, enjoying the show, not trying to guess where it's going to go. Whereas some people, I think they get the pleasure from watching these things, especially the thrillers. It's like they want to be detectives. They want to solve the murder or work out who did it before the end. Whereas I just really want to experience these things unfolding. So
I kind of like that. I like the element of like, oh, what? Yes. And usually my brother would be like, did you not see that coming?
Yeah, but at least your brother didn't tell you it was coming.
Yes, it's true.
Like live in, and that's that thing also about people like to experience different art forms and different things in different ways. For example, when you go to a musical, I don't like to sing along, but some people like to sing along at a musical. And that seems to be becoming, so you agree with me, but that seems to be becoming more normalised. I think that maybe something in terms of like friendships and relationships, it's good to work those things out. You and I like watching a TV series and commenting on it.
Yes. Would be great on Gogglebox.
But do you think
maybe this is the next evolution of Bad Bitch TV?
Our rivals watch, no, to be fair, our rivals commentary is pretty hilarious. But we're still not trying to predict what's happening. We're just talking about the characters and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We're not, like, neither of us try and ruin it for each other.
I mean, it is rivals, so I will be like, I will say to you, they're gonna fuck.
But I mean, that could apply to any character in that
show. If I say it enough times, it's gonna happen.
That's not like I wouldn't say
major spoiler
or a particularly difficult prediction to make. Right,
Don't say this.
I'm not going to take that bet. If you said those two people aren't going to have sex, I'd be like, okay, let's put some money on that and see what happens. If anyone hasn't watched Rivals, it's pretty it's raunchy in a really fun way.
It just is,
and it makes a great girls' watch party, I would say.
100%, without a shadow of a doubt. And it's like it just focuses on like the fun elements of the 80s and that life, rural life in Rutshire.
So, anything else on pop culture before we move on to today's topic?
Let's talk about perfectionism.
We're going to talk about perfectionism, but actually I was having so much fun just talking about pop culture. I almost feel like I'd rather talk about that than perfectionism. Even the topic makes me slightly tense.
Yes, because we're revisiting this because when we did our self-sabotage podcast, we obviously talked about like the main areas and the main
saboteurs.
Yes, exactly that. And so we decided to pull out for this week perfectionism. And it's like it can be so debilitating. So let's talk a bit about what it is, how it shows up, and like how it shows up, what those feelings look like, what it makes us do, and then how we can move forward from it.
Well, and I think it's also it's a difficult one because it can be labelled as good, it can be labelled as bad. I'm not a fan of kind of labelling it in either direction because sometimes perfectionism can be really helpful because it's you trying to attain a really high standard. Like when you look of athletes or even people in business trying to perform at a very high level, their form of perfectionism is really helping them.
Because it's what's got them to that level.
Right. And at the same time, it can also be something that we use to make ourselves feel bad, other people feel bad. It can become debilitating. Obviously, we talked about compulsive behaviors. So, and then I'll be open that I have my own difficult relationship with it, in that I've gone through phases of my life where I've been extremely perfectionist about certain things. And then I've kind of gotten a lot more relaxed about it and done therapy that's helped me do that. And yet every now and then I get these very strong urges to be perfectionist about things, and I start to beat myself up again that I'm not at holding myself to some insane standards.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really good topic to talk about, because I think it's actually quite complex.
Yes. And I feel it's like it's like anything, I would say it's like too much of one thing.
Yes.
Because if you're too perfect, I feel like it's an action and then a non-action. It can show up in two ways. So you can be so paralyzed by perfectionism that you feel really overwhelmed, or you just feel like, oh, I'm never going to be able to deliver, so you don't try.
Yes.
Or like you were saying with like Olympic athletes, artists, people like that who apply it to their craft, they will start working. If it's like, this is really helping me work towards my goals, I can get the edge here, I can save a point here, brilliant. It's when you are like, it's doesn't matter whether it's the Olympics or just your next race or whatever it is. If you're always like, if you can't even have that moment of, I've done a good job, what's the next thing?
Yeah, you can't be satisfied. And I have some clients who are wildly successful but struggle to enjoy the fruits of their labor, because even if, and some of them are public, even if what they're doing is getting huge praise and huge acclaim publicly, they'll still be like, yeah, but I think I could have done that better, or that wasn't quite to my standards. So you're right, where it can be helpful, but it also can massively get in the way. So to define kind of what it is obviously any kind of perfectionism is holding yourself or other people to a perfect standard, which basically means there is no room for error.
Would you say an unattainable standard?
Well, not always.
No.
Because there are things you can achieve perfectionism in. So I think that's the other reason why it's quite difficult, because we often know it is possible in certain things. If we all thought, well, that's not possible, I can't do that thing perfectly, then I think our brain would give up. Like, look at golfers. There are perfect shots they can make, and they will just spend hours, days, years trying to make those things, because they know it's possible, but it's extremely difficult.
Yes.
But there are some things, like, for example, in the morning, you can line up all the pens on your desk perfectly.
I love that. That makes me very happy.
Very happy, right?
Yeah.
So is it a bad thing? No, it makes you happy. If someone moved those pens, your face, if someone moved those pens, and you then were thrown wildly out for the rest of your day, that perfectionism is a problem. Whereas if it just gives you some pleasure and a sense of order, but that is attainable, then there might be perfectionism as in you're lifting weights and you want to, I want to lift this particular weight and do 10 chest presses, and I did it perfectly. So you can have a very good sense of achievement. And I think there's something valuable in us holding ourselves to high standards and achieving it, and our brain getting that completion loop
100%.
and saying, oh, I've done that thing. But then it's like, well, what if you try and apply perfectionism to everything you do? So there's a volume problem where that becomes impossible. And then what if you try and apply it to things that cannot be perfect? And when I say things that cannot be perfect, I'm talking about things like, you can't have the perfect relationship.
No.
You can't have the perfect friendship. You can't be perfect in interacting as a human being with everyone all the time. You can't, in a career, there might be an action or a specific thing you can execute perfectly. You cannot execute everything perfectly in your career. And therefore, again, I get lots of clients where overall you look back, that career is going brilliantly, but every week they could think of something that they could have done to a higher standard. And that's where it's taking the pleasure out. It's also debilitating their confidence. It's causing them a lot of stress. They can't relax and enjoy themselves. I mean, I've said to someone before, they once came round to my house and it was a bit messy. And I said, it's taken tens of thousands of pounds to be able to like be okay with this.
Brilliant.
And I think they were thinking, just tidy a kitchen, right? But it's actually taken me a lot to just be okay in that environment where things aren't perfect.
I think as well, it's like there's that element of perfectionism that feeds in with like you want complete control.
Yes, I think control is a huge part of it.
And it's like you want everything and it might be that if you're feeling slightly out of control in certain areas of your life, you then you dig more into wanting to exert more control and have an even more perfect like life in this area, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah, and I think it's good to be aware of that and know, is that a sign that I'm under stress? But also
Yeah.
I don't think it's a problem to have coping mechanisms,
No.
as long as you're aware of what that is and you're not leaning into it too much. Again, it's like with diet and exercise, people can become perfectionist about their food, and
Mhm.
it's bordering kind of into the obsessive and
Yes.
excessive control. So
Mhm.
I think there are some areas where it's in a way more helpful, especially around performance and
Yeah.
work, and areas where it becomes more dysfunctional more quickly, controlling food, trying to control other people. I mean,
For
you
sure.
can't have a perfect relationship.
No.
So if you have this kind of perfect standard of how you want to appear, or this perfect standard of how you want to behave, or this other person to behave, you'll just be disappointed
Yeah.
all the time.
And it is very hard because I feel like if you're in the throes of that, people that perhaps, because like, we all have different opinions, we all respond to things very differently. So some people will just be like, oh, just let it go. A couple of good things that if you are like a perfectionist, and I will come back to that point in a second, that people have said to me about business is like, done is better than perfect.
Hmm.
That makes me a little bit like, "Nah," but I want it perfect. And then it's like done is good enough sometimes.
Yes.
But it's like with the perfectionism, sometimes it can creep in and just you just really feel that like real paralysis around like I've just got to make it like the best. I don't know, because it is a really tricky. Even as I'm saying it now, it's like, is it wrong to really want to do the best you can possibly do? But it's like when you said it becomes that level of obsession, or
Mm.
when it's starting to impact on other people that perhaps have different opinions and viewpoints, that's when it starts to become challenging.
Well, yes. Is it creating stress in other areas
Mm,
of your life? Is it stopping you from sleeping at night?
yeah.
And I think, but it's because it's quite subtle. It's sometimes hard to spot the benefits you're getting in terms of results or self satisfaction.
Mhm.
Are they outweighing the costs that comes with that in terms of time
Yeah.
or stress levels? But I do think it's one of the kind of interesting parts of it is if it's stopping you doing things.
Yes.
So if you're doing things and you're motivated to do them and you're holding yourself to a high standard, that's great. But if there are things you really want to do in life, but you're not even trying for
Mhm.
them because your brain tells you, well, you can't do it to a high enough standard,
Yes.
that's where those kind of lessons about just start and really like check your standards. And I really like the kind of phrase, do your 10% 100%,
Mhm.
which is saying if there's something that you're trying to be a perfectionist about, or something you're trying to achieve that seems quite hard, don't be like, well, I have to do 100% perfectly, I have to do every step and I have to do it right. Just say, what would 10% be, and then let me just do those things to a really high standard because that makes me really happy. Like, let me write a really good newsletter, but I don't have to design an entire year's worth of social media executed perfectly.
Yes.
So we kind of make it small. Like, if you want to be perfect, just make it smaller and pick a little bit that you can do to a really high standard. Because I think it's a bit unrealistic to take someone who is naturally a perfectionist
Mhm.
and then just tell them to just relax and not care. In the same way that if you have someone who isn't a perfectionist, and there are some people that good enough is they're really happy with that. In fact, often quite bad enough. Do you know what I mean? Not
Yes.
even that good, they're happy with.
Done is better than perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like half done is
Yeah.
okay, right? For some people, they don't have any kind of feeling about perfectionism. And to ask them to become a perfectionist is also unrealistic. But there might be areas in their life where they need to start upping their standards in the same way that a perfectionist might benefit by just becoming 5% less
Mhm.
perfectionist. So it's not trying to ask yourself to just be somebody that you're not. It's really being honest with yourself and saying, am I a perfectionist? In which areas? How does that manifest? Where's that good? But also, where is that holding me back, or where is that becoming an impediment? And how can I just dial it down a little bit? And how can I just train myself to be okay with things not being quite perfect?
I think, and like going back to what you're saying about doing like 10% perfectly, it's like perfectionism and procrastination do go together
Yes.
so well, because it's like, especially if you're doing like a social media, probably like writing a book, like putting out some content, there'll always be things where you're like, I can do this better, or that font needs to be better, would this color work better, can I construct this sentence better? But I suppose it's like being able to, like in those particular cases, like where you're doing like a creative endeavor, or even like in sports performance, it's like, are the tweaks I'm making like making a meaningful contribution to improvement, or is
Yes.
it kind?
Or is it just to keep my brain
Yes,
happy?
yeah.
Yeah. Like absolutely. I think it's kind of picking your battles, or picking where it's going to make the biggest
Mhm.
difference. I'd like to talk about a famous perfectionist, if that's okay.
Yes, of course. Do tell.
Beyonce.
I'm going to settle down for story time. Love
Right,
it.
Beyonce,
Yes.
massive perfectionist. I don't know if you've watched any of her documentaries.
Have you seen the video? I have. I've seen the video of when she's on stage with Jay-Z and this wrong song plays and her face, and he looks terrified for his
Does
life.
he?
Yes.
I have not seen that.
Yeah.
But if you watch any of her documentaries about her creating her albums, creating her shows, she has these unreal, not unreal, but like, it's to watch it feels unreal. The level of like the high standards, the level of attention to detail. Because I think also some people are better at spotting detail than others. And if you've got a brain that's good at spotting what's wrong, you're more likely to be a perfectionist. And the level of all of that, and you just think, gosh, that must be so stressful. But then all those little things add up to something incredible. And it wouldn't be incredible if she wasn't focused on every tiny little detail. And she seems to have a very good awareness that that's what it is and that's what it takes. And she's, as I said, just like with athletes, she's kind of seeing that as, this is how I get to do my best work and kind of find out what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of, it's both inspiring, but then you've also got to say, but at what cost?
Yes. Yeah.
And, you know, do we all want to live with that level of stress, or create that level of stress for like the people around us by holding them to these kind of relentlessly high standards? But I do want to make a case for that, because I do think there are great things that are achieved in the world, not just artistically, but in terms of business. Or if you look at architecture, right? Architecture requires extreme precision. And in London, one of the things we're blessed with is some of the most interesting architecture in the world. And that's all possible because people have been perfectionists about the materials they've created, about the design, about the execution, because some of those are very difficult. I don't know if you remember with the walkie-talkie, they executed it and then it melted a car because of the angle of the glass and the heat, and they hadn't mapped that was going to happen, and then they had to kind of change the glass. But you think about all the unusual buildings they've built that would only work with these unreal standards. So I think sometimes we can fall into this idea that we should just be much more chill. But actually, as human beings, a lot of the really great things that have been achieved have been through some people being extremely perfectionist.
100%. And it's a really interesting one, isn't it? Because you hear it a lot in business, or you hear it a lot in life. It's like you learn more. I'm like, is it the same? You learn more from like the failures. But I'm thinking, if you are a perfectionist, are you ever allowing yourself to fail? Or are you just sort of kind of like, you're so focused and you're so like, this is how I'm going to gain the extra inch?
Well, what I see in a work environment is people have to perform in their given task. So the perfectionists still have to do things without enough time to hold them to a perfect standard, or under pressure, or what have you. So they're regularly having that perfectionism pushed upon. But they are learning, because they've got this attention to detail, they are learning from things going wrong all the time. So what they're doing is they're constantly improving. So actually their employers are really benefiting from that. And the thing I'm trying to help them with is how to be less stressed while they're doing it. Because the pace at which we're required to work is so fast that sometimes things won't be perfect. How to channel it in the places where it's really going to, as we said, like make a difference for them. But also how to make sure they're still achieving their goals. So big thing I see is people holding themselves back from going for promotion or going for the role of their dreams because they don't think they're the perfect candidate, or they don't have enough experience. And I've had a few clients recently get amazing jobs that they wouldn't have even thought they could apply for until we started working on this. It's not your job to decide if you're good enough for that job. Just put your hat in the
Hat in the
ring.
ring, yeah.
But the perfectionist in them is like, well, I'm not good enough because I don't meet every criteria on the CV.
You look at it and you think, right, there's one thing on there I can't do, and your brain is like, oh, can't do it then.
Right, exactly.
The whole thing.
And the thing with goals, the reason I'm often focused on goals is that they help drive us to do the uncomfortable things. So sometimes a client will give me a really ambitious goal, and then we'll pick up some saboteurs, and one of them might be perfectionism. And then I'll say to them, how uncomfortable are you willing to get in this area to achieve the goal?
Yeah.
You know, I've got a client who is not a perfectionist trait, but they hate reaching out to people in the network. Well, to get the kind of job they want to, they're going to have to do that.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, how willing are you to challenge your own saboteurs, your own ideal behaviors of how things need to go to achieve the goal? And sometimes the answer is no, I'd rather just have a job where I can do everything perfectly in my comfort zone than go for that goal. That's okay.
Yeah.
But actually, if you're listening and you're a perfectionist, really think about what you'd really like in life, and then ask yourself, how is my perfectionism holding me back? And how uncomfortable will I willing to be in terms of letting go of some of that or working through it? How uncomfortable am I willing to be to get the goal that I really want?
I love that. So yeah, it's like, how uncomfortable am I willing to be? You said earlier about being perception, like just doing like 10% perfect.
Yes.
And just dialing back your expectations. And then I said about, what was it? I said about the perfectionism. Yeah. Is it adding a meaningful contribution to the task at hand? You mentioned about, like, with your clients, how you make it less stressful for them, managing that perfectionism. What kind of practical thing, what does that look like practically?
Well, first of all, I do things like, if lining the pens up on the desk makes them happy, like, do the things that are achievable.
I love it.
So don't try and just not be perfectionist at all. Just be like, well, what makes you feel ordered? Is it if I rewrite out my to-do list in a neat way? Is it that I order the pens? Is it that I organise my inbox in the morning? So recognize the crutch that you need and fulfill it in a way that's very, very possible.
Yeah.
So that keeps the brain happy.
Yeah.
But then I think it's that lens of, I often say to them, what standard would your colleagues be happy with? And the other day I had a client who was saying about the standard they were trying to reach and that their standard wasn't good enough. And I said, percentage wise, how close are your colleagues to your standard where you are that you're not happy? And they were like, oh, 50%. So I was like, okay, so you're completely smashing it out the pot relative to everyone else. And true perfectionists are often trying to outperform themselves, not their peers. So I think sometimes just comparing yourself to the people around you and saying, oh yeah, actually my 80% standard is like 200% for everyone else. So that, like, letting yourself off the hook. I think there's also, you have to kind of do a bit of an evidence check and say, well, is my boss happy? Did I hit my key goals? Is anyone screaming that this isn't going well? Because if they are, then maybe it wasn't to the right standard. But again, looking for outside evidence and starting to do, when we talked about internal and external validation, we said it's a necessary balance. Sometimes you need to look at the external validation, the external messaging, to give yourself a more realistic perspective of the right standards. So I think there's that. And then I do believe in challenging yourself. I do believe in saying, like, one of my clients, I worked with them on public speaking and presenting in meetings, which I love doing, and they became much better at it. But one of the ways they did it was they would prepare excessively. And I'm sure lots of people listening feel like this. If they have to present, the way they do it is they prepare a huge amount.
Yeah.
And that helped them get so far. And then I said, right, that's a crutch that you need to be so excessively prepared. So I'm now going to start challenging you that you have to limit the amount of time that you're going to prepare for. So for a perfectionist, again, they might limit the amount of time they're allowed to spend on a task, and then whatever time they've spent, that's the cutoff. So they started limiting how much they prepared. And then this is quite mean, but I started getting them to not prepare at all, which I have to say they didn't love.
No.
They didn't love.
I'm not surprised.
They didn't love. But I said, your preparation is becoming a crutch, and then one day you'll be asked to present and you won't have time to prepare, and you're going to likely panic about it. So let's get that down, like that preparation time down to 0. And we did that work, and then they got asked on 2 hours notice to go and speak at the World Bank in front of this massive committee on a particular economic global catastrophe that was going on. And they went into that meeting, and there were in this room. I mean, it's like a nightmare experience. In this room were all their competitors and like some of the most senior government officials on their topic, and they were asked to speak first.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
I mean, how horribly stressful is that? So if you're a perfectionist, you wouldn't have been able to prepare. You're going to hold yourself to an impossibly high standard, and you haven't been able to see anyone else speak, so you don't even know what the benchmark is or whatever. And my client completely nailed it. And then they said afterwards, I'm so grateful you got me to learn to do that unprepared and not perfectly, because I then was comfortable just speaking from the hip imperfectly in front of all these people. And so it's like training yourself to be okay with something not being perfect, so that the day it can't be perfect, the day your boss asks you to turn something around in 5 minutes so you can't perfect it, or the day you need to get out the door without tidying your kitchen because you're going to miss the flight, it's not going to be so horribly stressful if in what I call like in peacetime, you've practiced not holding yourself to these silly standards.
I love that. And it's like making your brain feel safe, where you just by like, even if it's like one day for the week, you don't have to do it every day. Like maybe don't put your pens like laid out in a certain way on your desk. Is he doing it in American Psycho?
I mean, I don't know if he does, but I love the American Psycho reference because there is this, I think a lot of people do have this idea that if their environment is perfect, they will have like this sense of peace. And I actually did used to live many years ago with someone who had like extreme OCD, and I found it very relaxing because it was almost like the American Psycho flat. It was the most immaculate place I've ever lived. There was nothing on any surfaces. It was just constantly tidy, and there was something very calming about that. But I wasn't the person having to
facilitate
do the work to
You're
maintain
just enjoying it.
But it's something like, sometimes I find clients will say, "Oh, I get more work done when I go to a hotel, or when I go and work in a cafe or something, because there's less things to organise or be in charge of."
For sure, yeah, because it's very easy at home to be like, "Oh, I'm just going to do the washing. That needs doing."
But also, if you're a perfectionist, control of your environment can come into that.
Yes.
And so you want your environment to be perfect. So I think working from home can be harder for perfectionists than non-perfectionists, because they want their perfect desk setup or what have you. Whereas at work, there's less things that you're in charge of. Your desk gets cleaned every night. Do you know what I mean? And so I think, again, it's that balance of help yourself get more comfortable when things aren't perfect, but also recognize, to do my best work, is there a particular setup that will help me? And how do I make that very easy to achieve?
Yeah, and it's, I suppose as well, it's like identifying that, because the areas of your life where the perfectionism serves you and helps you.
Yes. When you get clients come to you with perfectionism, what are some of the things they are perfectionist about? Because, by the way, within one person, you can have someone who's completely perfectionist about one thing, and then there's other parts of their life that they are unbelievably laissez-faire. I don't think it's just you're a perfectionist on every single thing all the time. But what are some of the kind of things that people have their perfectionism about, and how do you help them with it?
So it is like some things that people feel like because I see it a lot with clients. It's like eating is definitely one.
Interesting.
Eating, they feel like they have to get it perfect, especially people that have like perhaps disordered eating, or they want to exert control. They feel like they have to be perfect. Do you know what? Even in general, like now I think back, even people that are just trying to like manage a career, spend time with family, travel, be a good partner, they feel like they have to get everything right, and they have to be like 100% all the time. They have to show up and get everything perfect. And the pressure to do that is debilitating, and it's very overwhelming, because then you don't actually, by letting these things go and enjoying your job, enjoying spending time with your family, rather than thinking everything has to be perfect so myself and everyone has a good time, when you like let that go a bit, you will actually, the funny thing is, you will actually have a better time. Whereas if you're being a complete stress head, and I'm guilty myself of it as well, of being like, this person needs to have this, has that person got a napkin? I need to be here, there and everywhere. So the way we start to unwind it is to, number one, empty your stress bucket, because when you are feeling calmer and better, you've got more tolerance for the things you can't control. And you're more likely to employ that wonderful part of your brain that ponders, that already has all that wonderful knowledge about how amazing you are. And it will be like, even if you're not consciously thinking about it, your brain will be like, okay, well, remember that time where we kind of didn't get it perfect, but it still turned out super well. All that evidence is still there, and we can access it much easier than when we're stressed out and feeling really overwhelmed. So it's like that. It's emptying your stress bucket, and then like it's finding a very small way forward. Like, what is the tiny little steps that we can make to start with the eating? Very difficult one sometimes. Where are the small wins? And it comes from building confidence as well. Confidence that the whole world isn't going to fall apart, that if you don't
Yeah,
get
if you're
it
not
completely
perfect.
right,
We
because
have
your brain will convince you that it will do it will, even when you have like a to-do list, because your brain has got that negative bias perception, like, and it will look at everything through that sort of that viewpoint. If you have 20 things on your list of things to do, if you did 19, your brain's going to be like, yeah, well, you didn't do the 20th,
yes,
you
yeah.
know?
Well, and I think so much of that actually can also come from childhood,
Mm.
that your perfectionism kept you safe.
Yes.
Did you have a hypercritical parent
Mm-hmm.
where if you behave, like if you hit the mark on everything, then they were happy with you? Or it's not even they were hypercritical, you were just highly rewarded for doing things perfectly. And we've also seen a lot of research that shows that the standards of, for detail are higher for girls.
Yeah.
So girls are more likely to be rewarded for executing perfectly than boys are.
Yeah.
So was there a form of perfectionism there? Was there a form of perfectionism that you had parents who were very focused on how everything appeared to the outside world, and therefore when you were out on display with other people, you were expected to look and behave a certain way? That early programming is very important. So also, again, before we let go of behaviors, it's good to go, where's this from? How did it keep me safe? Can I be very grateful that
Yeah.
that really helped me out as a child?
Yeah.
But it no longer serves me, or I don't need it anymore. And that's obviously some of the deeper work. But again, if you find that you have a lot of perfectionist tendencies, and that when something's starting to stress you out, that it becomes very noticeable or much stronger, that's often a sign that it was serving you when you were younger, and there's a bit of work you can do to let that go.
100%. And the first key with so many of these things, and the first thing, the topics that we talk about, is just awareness.
Yes.
You don't actually have to act on it, just notice it. Notice if you're giving yourself a hard time. Notice if you're like, actually, this is now becoming something that's not actually helping me produce my best work or move forward or achieve the goals I want. And just noticing it before you can take the action steps that we talked about.
I love that. I want to make just one last point, because my perfectionist is keeping an eye on the time, and I'm saying we need to wrap this podcast up.
Love it.
But when we were talking to Naomi about wellness, I was really struck by the fact that in the wellness world, there's so much focused on how people present.
Mm-hmm.
And I think wellness is gone a bit wrong,
Mm.
because wellness can be this thing where people then suddenly want to do wellness perfectly.
Yes.
You've got to have the perfect regime. You've got to have the perfect diet. You've got to have the perfect Pilates body. You've got to have the right gym kit.
You're going for a walk because it's a great biohacking trip. You're not
Yes.
enjoying it.
Yeah, like you say, like people are in the sauna and they're
they're with their big dry water, and they're like watching their,
and they're managing the time
and reading.
And you've got to say, why are you doing all of this?
Yeah.
If you're doing it to be well, what does wellness mean for you? Because if wellness is being healthy and happy, I don't think that approach is making you healthy, because we know that stress is one of the biggest
100%.
killers, right? If it's stressing you out because you don't have this perfect routine, certainly not making you happy. I mean, I like to eat healthily, but I'm going to be honest, carrots don't give you the same joy as like a really delicious chocolate mousse, do they? Let's just be honest about it. So that level of kind of deprivation, just be like, what am I trying to achieve with this?
Yes.
And I'm half French, and I think the French have this wonderful approach to life where they really enjoy the good food, but they also get out and exercise, but they're very pleasure driven in their choices. So I think, and they don't work that hard. And, it's like we see across Europe, a lot of people, they'll take a nap in the middle of the day, and they're not hustling or performing at this necessary level, but you look at them and you think, they're having a really, really great life. So question why you're putting this pressure on yourself. What do you think you're going to achieve at the end of it?
Yes.
And actually Is perfectionism the way to achieve it?
Exactly.
Probably not.
Yeah, it's like you have the goal. Are you therefore on the right track, or actually are you impacting your like wellness in a negative way?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, your life is your experience every day.
Mm,
It's not when you hit the
no,
goal. And you get people who hit a goal and then the next day they're miserable, they're on to the next
100%.
one.
Yeah,
So again, if to hit my goals around well-being, I have to be extremely deprived in terms of my diet, extremely punishing in terms of my exercise. I have to miss out on fun with my friends. I don't even want that goal
no.
anymore,
Hmm.
actually. So really think about, what do you want your day-to-day experience to be? And if you could again dial down your perfectionism 5-10%, how could that help you have a more enjoyable experience?
It's the life in your days, not the days in your life.
Oh my god, I love that.
I feel like someone else has said that. I haven't just come up with that.
No, I'm touched. I think you just came up with it right now. I'm moved by it. It's the
Perfect.
life in your days,
Not
not
the
the
days
days
in
in
your
your
life.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true.
Mm,
What a great point to end on.
it really is. I really enjoyed this. It's a lovely conversation. And thank you so much, my darlings, for joining us as always. We are so grateful for you. And if you have any questions or any topics that you would like us to explore, please do get in touch. And as always, if you feel like there's someone that would benefit from listening to this conversation, do feel free to share this podcast with them and continue to support us as you've done so beautifully by liking and sharing and subscribing, and keep all your lovely comments coming too. We really do appreciate them. And we will see you next week.